Hey, yo, what's up, everyone? It's me, Dre. So, I want to talk about this motherfucker, Donald Trump, who last night basically got on TV and spoke to his base. It's supposed to be an address to the nation, but it's more just speaking out to his base. Now, he went on to talk about how he wants the wall and how nothing is going to make America feel more secure than to have a wall built for, $5 billion. Look, for him to go on and basically say that hey, what's up, Simply Deep? Good to see you. Just on my break at work, so I'm just gonna sit in my car and make this video. But for him to go on about these stories about how Mexicans that cross over, he basically equates all Mexicans to MS-13. I can assure you, if you're around Mexicans, because many do know how to speak English, and I live here in South Texas, and I know a lot of people who actually are here illegally. My mother-in-law came here illegally, some, 30, 40 plus years, and she doesn't fit that category of what Donald Trump said in terms of illegals. All the same, for him to spew out the rhetoric and the hatred to his base, it's fear mongering. So now Mexicans are starting to get a little bit of a taste of what Richard Nixon did to blacks when he launched his war on drugs in conjunction with help from from the FBI. Mexicans are being targeted because, again, to the casual racist, they don't know any better. They see someone with brown skin who could be Puerto Rican or Dominican, but just the utterance of Spanish coming off the tongue, it's automatically go back to Mexico. It's as simple as that. And I can go on and on about that because I know there are some Trump supporters who are Latino, and I don't trust them either. Just like I don't trust any black person who supports Donald Trump, because they seem to think that maybe this is the fault of the Democratic Party, which I don't support either. I don't give a damn about either party. And you've probably seen videos where I discuss why I don't support any party. But all this, again, when it comes to Donald Trump talking about the violence and the crime, cherry picking, basically, when it comes to the recent incident that happened in California where a cop was killed by a Mexican, and he was captured where he was trying to flee back to Mexico. Trump is trying to exacerbate the situation by, again, as I said, cherry picking and talking about these instances. But the question is, what is a wall going to do in terms of stopping mass shootings? Every time he speaks, he essentially repeats the same shit over and over again about how Mexicans are bringing drugs. I'm going to say this straight. The drugs, if any, and I'm pretty sure there are, but the drugs that are being brought over is not meth. That is the drug of choice that white people are overdosing to, and that's something that Mexicans don't bring over. Cocaine, perhaps. Marijuana, perhaps. Meth, no. That's something that's produced here in labs. Not that just white people do meth, because anyone who does drugs and likes to get high, they'll find their pleasure in whatever variety of narcotic or whatever. I don't do drugs. I'm here at work. I just did a drug test today. So it's just one of those things to where trying to say, well, if you stop Mexicans from coming over, then you're not going to have drugs. And perhaps he didn't put it in those words, but that's what he's essentially implying. But again, Mexicans are not bringing meth over to the United States. When it comes to crime, you would be amazed that there's some crime that comes over. I'm not ignorant enough to believe that some don't come over and bring crime with them. But when you consider the fact that, again, when you're looking at Sandy Hook, Parkland, when you look at the church shooting in San Antonio, whatever that is, here in Texas, there's not an instance to where it's a Mexican. In fact, I think the last time there was any type of mass shooting, and I could be wrong, but the last time there was a mass shooting, it was Sergeant Eusebio, or I know his last name was Eusebio. He's actually an Army sergeant. He killed himself, I believe, but he also killed a couple of other people on a military base a couple of years ago. But it's just something where you're not going to see a lot of Latinos committing mass shootings. So building a wall, it's keeping the crazy people inside the country, gives them more of a reason to shoot and kill and maim one another. And I have these discussions right now with my main account on Facebook. I'm on a 30-day block because I hurt motherfuckers' feelings, and I don't care. I speak from perspective of not trying to necessarily generalize, but when the truth has to be told, unfortunately, a lot of white people are butthurt by that truth because the narrative goes against what they believe. But again, listening to Donald Trump's, speak like an idiot, and all you have to do is sit and listen to him because his vocabulary, again, I'm not going to question whether he's got a college degree or not, but as a president of the United States, you would think that he would be able to articulate a lot better. But how can America be great when you have someone that's consistently lying and constantly lying? He sat up on national TV and with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and says, you know what? I'm going to take the helm on this shutdown. I'll be proud to shut down, and I'm not going to blame you. He's talking to Chuck Schumer. But now, every time he talks, he's pointing towards the Democrats instead of saying, hey, this is something where, I'm not budging, so I'm going to own up to it. He's not owning up to it. But again, his conservative base, they believe him, and they'll believe what they want because he's feeding into their fears. It's that old Southern strategy. I know a lot of presidents have done it ever since Richard Nixon, where it's to appeal to a certain base, and all candidates do running for some government office. But the rhetoric, it pulls in a certain type of people to vote, and that's just to be expected. But for those who say, well, it's funny that Donald Trump wasn't called a racist until he ran for office. Yeah, he was known as a racist. It's just that he started saying racist shit out in public. So who are you to be mad about that? And I know this is kind of going in a lot of directions, but at the same time, we as Americans, we're the laughing stock of the planet, unfortunately, because countries out there don't respect us. China doesn't respect us. Russia doesn't respect us. Donald Trump, when he goes to England, you see how the people over there treat him. There are people that love him. I know some people in India. There's one story about a guy who worships and has a nice little shrine of Donald Trump. But he's done some good for country. I'm sorry, T-Man, I just don't see where hate crimes have increased since he's gotten in office. And unfortunately, conservatives want to believe that a lot of the racism started when Obama was in office, which, as a black man, to say that to any black person, that one black man out of the 43 that came before him, the one black man in this modern era caused racism to increase. No, it didn't increase. It didn't get worse. It just started getting recorded. That's the difference. So what has Donald Trump done good for the country? I don't think he's done a damn thing good, because at the end of the day, he's still in a public office where he's lying to everyone. And he's making a fool of himself. And while people will say, well, he speaks his mind and does what he needs to do. I mean, hey, we all have that drunk relative when they've had a little bit too much consumed of alcohol. They speak their mind too. So should we just vote them in the office? So If you support Donald Trump, that's all fine and dandy, but just keep in mind that uh, if this country is supposed to be seen as great because of how we've risen, you also have to look at the history of this country to ask yourself, based on our history and our past, are we really great? And I can easily go back and touch upon how slavery was institutionalized to build this country, but no. Let me see. So politicians lie. Well, you're absolutely right, T-Man. Politicians do lie and cheat, which is one of the reasons why when I speak, a lot of people think maybe I voted for Obama, but I didn't. Because politicians do lie, and Obama, he lied too, but that's what politicians do. That's how they get to where they are, to get people like us fooled enough to want to vote for them. So yeah, we both understand that politicians lie. It should be a public office of liars. That's what they should call it instead of the office of the presidency. And again, waiting for that moment where Donald Trump does something to make all Americans proud, but only a certain sector is proud of him, where another sector is not. And it's different when, as a Republican president, he does something and it makes Democrats say, damn, that was a pretty good move. He hasn't done that. Me personally, because I don't vote, I can think back to like George Bush and the whole incident with 9/11. I think how he handled that and rallied Americans together, I think that was exceptional, because he was just a few months in office and that shit happened. And the way he led the country, much respect, much respect. Do I hold anything against him because of what happened with FEMA and Hurricane Katrina? There's only so much one man could do against Mother Nature. But with Donald Trump, where he's talking about hurricanes being very big and very wet, I mean, come on, how can you be proud of that? Anyway, my break time is almost over. Be walking back in here and take some supervisor calls and get yelled at by customers for stupid shit, but it brings in the money. But wherever you guys are, be safe out there. I know it's my first video of 2019, so I'm not trying to come off too aggressive. It's easy for me to cuss a motherfucker out, but I'm gonna try to remain even keeled also, because with a lot of the videos that YouTube are taking down, they pretty much neutered my channel. I'm not monetized anymore, but that's all right. If the message comes across and people can enjoy or at least have a discussion with my videos, then I know the objective is there, and that's great. Anyway, until the next time, wherever you guys are, be safe. 2019, hopefully we'll have a good year. We'll see what happens.